Okay, I had a question from one of my MBA students for my MBA finance class about how to solve this problem, especially part B. Since a lot of you are new to solving problems on Excel, I thought I'd go ahead, in my MBA finance class, that is, I thought I'd go ahead and do this one, do a YouTube video. For those of you that aren't in my finance class, I got this problem from this book, Principles of Finance with Excel, by Simon Baninga and Tal Mafkati. Simon Baninga was a really good teacher. I think he's from Israel, and he passed away in August of 2015. Yeah, but this is a very good book. I've met the guy at a conference before, and I really like to use this book. Yeah, if you're interested at all in using finance with Excel, this is a good book to get. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start out with what we're given. Okay, and it says these people, they're in their 80s, they're thinking about selling their house for $500,000, moving into an apartment complex for seniors. It's going to cost $50,000 per year, payable full at the beginning of the year. So that's a key word. Got to make sure you read everything in this problem. It's the beginning of the year, not the end of the year. This payment covers everything. So part A, they say if they can earn, well, they can say, let's go ahead and put this in the given, what they just said. So, so they're going to get, we'll call it the present value. They're going to get $500,000, $500,000. And the payment they're going to have to make every year is going to be equal to, I'm going to make it negative because it's coming out of their pocket. It's going to equal to negative $50,000 per year, beginning of period. So this is like an annuity, and it's the beginning of period annuity because it's payable in full at the beginning of each year. So right when they move in, they're going to get this money, and then right when they move in, they're going to pay $50,000. So they're going to, if you think about it, they're going to be out $450,000 the first year. But the way we model this problem in Excel is a little bit different. All right, so that's basically that's what we're given, and we want to find. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see this. We want to find A. We want to find well, first they tell you in A, R, the interest rate is equal to 6%, so that's how much they can earn on their money per year, and they're going to live for 10 years. They plan on, they're estimating they're going to live for 10 years. Okay, and we want to find what the future value is after all that happens. Oops. What the future value is going to be. Part B, they want to know if the future value is 0, that's when the money is run out. So they're going to live until the money runs out. How long is that going to take? How long is that going to take? That's what's the longest they can live before it runs out. So the money runs out, that basically means the future value is 0. And then C, we basically want to know the same information. I'll copy it down here. But the only difference is this is 7% now. Okay, so that's what we want to find. I guess C is broken into 2 halves. Let me put a little underline here. So there's 2 parts. C's got this part and then this part. Just like this, there's an A and B. There's a C has 2 parts. It says you want to do A and B together. All right, so for a solution, now one thing you can do a lot of times in these problems, if you're not really understanding what's going on, you can do something called a cash flow diagram. So I'm going to move this book out of the way here. Let me bring this down so you can see it a little bit more. So I could do a cash flow diagram of this. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the cash flow diagram here on Excel. So the way you draw it, I'm going to go to this. I'm going to go to the Home tab and go to this little thing here, and I'm going to say draw border. And one thing you might want to make, you want to make the border bold. So I'll go maybe. We'll use that color. Use bold. And so this is 10. So first of all, you're going to get $500,000. So I'm going to have an arrow pointing up. I'm going to make the arrow bigger. So I'm going to make it like twice as big. Then we're going to go 10 years. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And each of the beginning of each year, we're going to have to pay $50,000. So this is the beginning of year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And basically the inheritance is how much should I have to spend right here? That would be my inheritance. How much should I have to spend here to equal out this $500,000 I have over here? Okay, so I'm going to hit escape. So this is equal to this right here, right? And this is our payment. And our payment, well, the arrow's already pointing down, so I'm going to say it's equal to a negative this. Because pointing down already means negative, so I'm going to say it's equal to a negative that. Whoops. Now what I could do, I pointed at that, but I have to hit F4. Whoops. If I hit F4, it puts dollar signs in front. Now what does that mean? It means when I copy it, it keeps pointing at that same cell. If I didn't hit F4, it'd point to here, to here, to here, and I copy it over. But since I hit F4, I put dollar signs in front of there. It made us what's called an absolute reference. Now, you could type the dollar signs, but F4 is a shortcut on most keyboards. If you have a laptop, you're going to have to mess around to find out how to get F4. But on most keyboards on full-size PCs, you just hit F4. And this is the future value. And this is what we want to know for part A. This is part A. And we know the rate on part A is equal to 6%. Okay? So this is basically what's going on. We could put the periods in here. I can put 0 times 0. This is year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and year 10. So you can see the years. This is the first year, the second year. So you see now we have this at the beginning of each year. The year 10, remember, see we don't have a cash flow of 50,000 here because year 10 is at the beginning of the year, right? So each one of these, so it's the end of year 9 or the beginning of year 10. All right, so let's solve for A. So we want to calculate that future value. And what function do you suppose we use to solve for future value in Excel? Well, it's pretty easy. It's equal to future value. And we can look at this argument box here. So it says the rate. Well, the rate is right here, 6%. The number of periods is 10 years. The next thing it says is the payment. Well, the payment is along here. Now, I want to make it negative. Now, since this is a cash flow diagram, we're going to use the negative like up here. So I could click on this, or I could go equals a negative this, because that's arrow pointing down and first negative. Actually, I don't want to put the equal sign. I'll make an error. I say a negative this, which is the same as that, right? The present value is how much is this right here. That's a positive amount of money we got. And then finally on the top type, it says end of period to beginning of period. Well, this is the beginning of period, so you double click that. And we could enter. We get $196,842. Okay, so I'm going to put the formula in here. Okay. So that's how much you're going to have if you die right here, right at year 10, before you have to pay the additional $50,000 payment for year 11. That's how much. That's how much you'd have to pay to make that $500,000 go away. $196,000. So you'd have that much to spend. You could spend that much. That's why it's negative. You'd spend it in order to, use up all of that. Okay. Now I didn't know which way this was going to point, but I just assumed it was, right? Because you're earning interest on this $500,000 as you go through, right? So now we could do this a different way. We could maybe this makes more sense like this. I go year beginning of your payment and value at end. Let's do it that way. Let me zoom this, make this a little bit bigger so you can see. Oh, that's too big. Okay. So we're going to start out with year 1. And at the beginning of the year, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go equals, well, I have $500,000 out to start with. And my payment is going to be equal to this. So I'm going to go ahead and F4 it. So that way it's always going to point, the payment's always $50,000. And what's the value at the end of the year? Well, it's going to be equal to how much I had at the beginning of the year. Let me start this out with a parentheses. Okay. Minus that payment I made, right? You know, so it's 400. It's going to start out with $450,000, right? The 500,000 I started out with minus 50,000. So that's how much I started out at the beginning of the year. Remember, this payment was right here. And I'm going to take that times. Well, how much interest am I going to earn on? Well, I have that's $450,000, right? So how much am I going to earn on that $450,000 over the year? Well, that's going to be 1 plus this interest rate, the 6%. I'm going to go ahead and F4 that because I always want it to point to that 6% when I copy this formula down. So let's go ahead and format this the same. Format Painter. And so year 2, well, the beginning of the year is equal to whatever it was at the end of the year. You're at the same spot, right? The payment's still $50,000. And at the end of year 2, you have 452. So you see, your earning interest is 477,000. It's not going to be 477 minus 50 because well, it's going to be that, but then you're going to earn interest on that $427,000 over the year. So the end of the year, you're actually going to have that. Remember, you're earning 6% on your money. Okay, so let me take these all out to 2 decimal places so you can see. All right, year 3. So I can just copy these down, right? The first two rows are different, so I can't do row 1 and start copying it down. But now I can copy this all the way down to year 10. Hope I don't need year 11. And this is my answer. And you can see it's the same as that, 196. So let me go ahead and put the formula in here. Okay. So that's just an alternate way to solve part A. Now for part B, they want to know N. How long, but the future value is 0 now. So I go equals, N, the function to find the number of periods on Excel is N per. So the number of periods, we want to know the rate is 6%. Okay. The payment is a negative 50,000. Present value is 500,000. The future value in this case is 0 because you want to run out of money. And the type is still beginning a period. So it'll take 14.32 years. Let's go ahead and just, that's a little bit too exact. Maybe we'll say 14.33. 14.33 would be a third of a year, which would be 14 year, about 14 year, 4 months, right? So that's the answer to that. Okay. For part C, we can put the future value. Well, that's going to be equal to the future value. The rate now is 7%, right? Number of periods is still 10 years. Payment is still a negative 50,000. Present value is 500,000. Type is 1. So for part C, the answer would be that. And then the second part of part C, if you're earning 7%, how long will it take? Well, it's going to be equal to n per. The rate now is 7%. The payment is a negative 50,000. The present value is 500,000. The future value is 0. And what am I doing here? Comma. The present value is 500,000. Future value is 0, and the type is beginning a period. And you notice when I'm using an Excel function, I don't even have to put that parentheses at the end. I can hit enter at that type. Now if I'm doing a formula on my own, I have to put parentheses, but Excel knows we're done. So you can just go ahead and hit that. I guess you could. It's always a good idea to highlight the answer. Now, when you're doing problems for me and handing them in, we want to call that problem 2, chapter 2-12. So every problem should be on a separate sheet. Next problem, I'd hit plus and do a new sheet, 2-14. Okay, so that's it for that. I was trying to keep it under 15 minutes, but I decided to do this the second way. That makes a little more sense. You can see once you get used to using the Excel functions, you can do things a lot quicker. Sometimes you got to model it the long way, so it's a good way to see the long way. Sometimes in an Excel function, you really can't do everything in one function. Cash flow diagrams are a really good thing to do if you're trying to understand what's going on to make sure you get everything right. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Thanks for watching.